We're live, we're live, we're live, we're live, we're live. I am live. I am live. I am live. Welcome to Zobiba Publish TV. I am your host, Yvette Johnston, publisher, author, and here I am today. Okay, so I have an episode for you today, and let's see what we'll be talking about. I I think I feel a little bit British today. I don't know why, but I feel a little bit British because I was speaking to someone and the person is very British. And so the person said, "Why don't you try?" I said, "I'm going to laugh." Anyway, it was funny. I said, "I'm going to laugh if I really do it in public, okay?" But I feel a little bit British today, and I feel like I could do a little bit of Britain today, but I don't really want to do it because I don't think it's going to fit me today with what I'm doing. But it's okay. I'll just do what I'm doing today. All right. For those of you who didn't know, I guess I have a British background. I was born in Guess. Okay. All right. So, welcome to Zobiba Publish TV. And our program today, it's entitled Publishing Path. Book Publishing Path. And we're just talking about things to know about publishing. Okay. So, Zobiba Publish TV, it's where we speak about matters of publishing, which includes, but are not limited to, journaling, writing, editing, publishing, storytelling, and decision making. And we get to use our analytical skills sometimes, okay? No, all the times. All right, so a bit of definitions that I want to share today. And these definitions I will begin with. And I won't be British anymore. I'll just be good. I'll just be good for today. It's Friday. It is Friday. It's the end of a week. And what do you do when it gets to the end of the week? Just smile. Just smile. One smile will do the trick. Whatever you're experiencing today, and you feel like, you're just so down. And I'm not using the word depressed because a lot of people like to use that word when it's not necessary. But you just feel a little bit not so chirpy today. You know what I mean? And I think you can do a smile. One wink and a smile. Okay? All right, there you go. So, publishing, that's the first definition. Publishing is the process of producing and distributing books, okay, or magazine. Then the next definition is distribution. So it is the process of making the physical books, ebooks, or audiobooks available to the public for purchase, to view, or to borrow, depending on your plan for distribution. Okay? And this process is making the books. Okay, so now we'll talk about the path to publishing. We might get into a little bit more definitions, but now we're talking about the path to publishing. So the first one I have. So what did I say? I said this process is making the books available to customers. Did I leave that out? Did I do it on purpose? Maybe I did because I wanted to see if you were listening and paying attention. Okay. So the first path to publishing is true self-publishing. True self-publishing. Now, this is where the author is responsible for everything relating to the book. This includes the cover design, the book layout, marketing, sales, and distribution. And the author may also supply the ISBN, give it to the printing company, and then they will include the ISBN on the book or on the books. Number two path, book publishing path, hybrid publishing. So this is a system in which the author and publisher share the cost of publishing. And this is different from self-publishing, and it's different from traditional publishing. It includes both traditional and self-publishing, known as the best of both worlds. That's what they call it, the best of both worlds in publishing. Hmm. I don't know why they said that, but that's what they said. Well, that's what I learned. Okay, that's what I learned. So before I go into the others, here are some disadvantages and some advantages of what I've spoken of so far. So, advantage, a decision has to be made concerning who will keep the copyright. In most cases, both the author and the publisher assume responsibility for production, sales, and distribution, but who will keep the copyright? Here is a disadvantage now. It causes confusion as to who owns the right of the publishing material. Well, this is something you want to think about. You want to give up your rights? Do you want to give up your rights? Okay, I don't know if you do, but I'm not telling you what to do because I publish. So, because I'm a publisher, I will not get into a debate or a discussion when it comes to that because I don't want to tell you, don't do this or do that or do that. I don't want to tell you that. It might go against me. I will not say anything that will go against me. Okay, so listen to this other path, DIY publishing. That is do it yourself publishing. And in this case, the author manages the publishing process. This means the author writes the book, edits the book, or asks someone to edit the book, then gets the book printed. The printing company places the ISBN on the book during printing, as the ISBN is provided by the author. You were not listening. It's by the author. The author then sells the books, and that can be done in different ways. Okay? Like soliciting your friends, trying to get your friends, like I say to the PhDs, I say, well, listen, when it was 2,000 of you, I worked out the prices of the books, no joke. I worked out the prices of the books and counted the number of PhDs. And then I said to them, each PhD is going to take 100 books, 100 books, and sell them. The one who sells the book the quickest has a prize to get. Well, they better sell the books because if they don't sell the books, they don't have a prize to get. All right. So then the numbers grew. And then they got to a higher number. And then I think when they got to 10,000, I said, okay, now it's 10,000 of you. Do you know how many books I can sell? So now you're going to help me. Otherwise, I will not motivate you anymore, right? I will not mentor you anymore. And they said, okay, well, we'll see. We'll make sure we take some books. All right. Then we got to 20,000 PhDs. When we got to 20,000 PhDs, I said, okay, so it's 20,000 PhDs and it's so many books. You're from everywhere in the world. So it makes me, if I didn't think I was, now it makes me an international bookseller. But I know I was because, it happened from my first two books. So, yes, I'm an international woman. And so you can be too. And so some of you are. Good. Just claim your international status. All right, so when we got to 30,000, I said, okay, so it's 30,000, 30,000 of you. See where the list comes in? Okay, 30,000 of you, PhDs. Now I start multiplying. I said, okay, I'll be rich. But if you don't take the books, I'll be poor. So you got to take the books and sell them. Then it got to 40,000 PhDs. Then it got to 50. Then it got to 70,000 PhDs. And then 100,000 PhDs. I said, you got to make me rich. You got to. Because if you don't, I don't know how I'm going to survive. This was funny. Somebody said you got to get a job. All right. So that was the fun part of it. Okay. So we're not all that boring. Now, what else did I say I was going to talk about? Traditional publishing. So, traditional publishing, the publisher makes all the decisions relating to the publishing of the book. And the decision includes the cover design, editing, book layout, marketing strategy, distribution, sales. Okay, so that's the traditional publishing. So with traditional publishing, you may receive an advance, right? So there are two different types of traditional publishing. So with this one, you will receive an advance. This is known as advanced based traditional publishing. This is where an agent may contact you or you may contact an agent if they accept, soliciting, or you might write your query letter and send it in to the agent. And if the agent is good enough and the agent can read well, no, seriously, because some of these agents, I'm serious. I believe they can't read well because I don't see what is wrong with you producing exactly what they ask you to produce. And then they look at you and tell you, I don't think your books are going to sell as much as we would like them to, because we are a very large book publishing company. And so I don't know if you will have enough sales. How many followers do you have? Now I'm getting into the British tone because this was done to me from Britain. Well, how many followers do you have on social media? I need to see your social media account. How many followers do you have on Facebook? How many followers do you have on LinkedIn? How many followers do you have? Oh no, that was the Australian man who did that. How many followers do you have on WhatsApp? So they needed my WhatsApp account information, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, and they needed my YouTube. And how many YouTube channels do you have? I said, God help me, please, because they want all of my business. And how many family members do you have who you can? I said, family members will not help me, please. So if you don't want to do it, then I think it's only God alone who can help me. So listen, it's so funny. They they didn't take the books because I didn't have enough followers on YouTube. Actually, I did not even have a YouTube channel. I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time. So I guess I wasn't qualified. I was not qualified to write books or to get them sold by an agent or a traditional publisher. Anyway, they gave me a story, so that's okay. So, like I said, this is where the agent may contact you or you may contact an agent, and then you will introduce your manual or your manuscript to the agent, right? Or your story in your manuscript. So they will ask you to write how many pages or, give us a synopsis of this. Oh, write how many pages on this. And I said, this is school. This sounds like a composition class. Why do you need to write all of that? I need to tell you what fiction it is or what nonfiction it is. It's okay. It's okay. Today we're just chilling today. We've been through too much all week. Everybody trying to kill you at the same time, and a whole bunch of bees and everything coming down at you at the same time. You know what? Guess what happened? I'm alive, so I can smile. And then from here, they will negotiate for an advanced based traditional publishing of my book or of your book. Okay? Then we have non-advanced based traditional publishing. This happens in the case where the publisher takes on a lesser financial risk in publishing your book, right, than the traditional advanced based publisher would. Somebody just don't want to lose money because they don't trust you, because you don't come from Hollywood and they don't know your name. So they're not going to trust you until they hear about you and hear what kind of influencer you have. And guess what? Now is the time that they're asking me, have you written any book recently? Really? Really? Have you written any book recently? Can you send us 5 of your books? I said, whoa, this sounds good, but it doesn't make sense to me. At the time when I needed you, you didn't. So guess what happened? You know how I like to go back to a word that will help me? When I called, they didn't answer, and when I spoke, they didn't listen. I got scared to give them my book. I'm serious. I really got scared to give it to them because I gave sent my manuscript to a publisher in the USA. 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 That's where all the publishers who like to take your stuff and sell them to Hollywood, that's where they come from. It ain't Canada. It's the USA. Good. Which means we need to have a talk with the president. Need to have a private meeting with the president so he can know this is what they're doing over there. Okay? All right. Anyway, I sent my book and they basically sold the rights to the book, because if they sold movie from it, they sold it to a company. They created a movie from my book. So you created a movie from the book that I stayed up all night to write, couldn't figure out myself the next day if I was walking upside down or not. But I stayed up all night, wrote it, and then wrote the movie, and someone took it and they made a movie out of it. You know what? That's not nice. It's not a nice thing to do. I guess they couldn't publish the book because they know that if the book was published, then the copyright, I hold the copyright. But the movie, they figured you don't hold the copyright to the movie. No, that's still stealing. That's robbery. And guess what? You know the creator, he doesn't like robbery and wrong. He said, I hate robbery and wrong, but I love justice. When I spoke to the person whom I spoke to at that publishing company, she told me that she was a Christian. I said, I guess you wouldn't allow me to invite anybody to your church. Because you know what? It's just like how a manager, a church manager would take out the money from just steal the money from the church, empty out the bucket into a bag and push it on their arm and left. I said, wow, it's the same thing. So she said she was a Christian. But I don't know. I was very disappointed. They made movies off my book, and did I get any money from it? No, no. I wonder, why is it that the people in this world just believe that when you do something, you do it for you and for them. They don't give you anything from what they make, from what they steal, but they steal your stuff. but you don't get anything from it. So how does that work? Where is conscience? Where is consciousness? Where is where do you find ethics? Where do you find morale? Where do you find all of those things? But I prayed though. I prayed a prayer. I didn't really ask God to kill them. I didn't. I just said, let one of them show up so I can see exactly who it is. And I was sitting at a place one day, I heard to go to this place, and I went there. And someone who's a part of, one of the actors, he showed up at the place, and there was a group of people surrounding him, and he was talking to them. And someone was flying in the airplane, taking a picture of the person. That person didn't know. But that's what happened. That's what you will get when you steal people's stuff. So that's not right. That's not right. Where is the justice in that? Where is the fairness? There is none. So I tell you, how would I invite someone to show up at that lady's church, the church she attends? Because I'd basically be saying, attend the church of a thief. Well, I would hope that that wouldn't be the pastor, because somebody would have a message to deliver. All right, so that was the fun part of that. I had to do that part. I had to get it out. I had to get it off my chest. I really had to. And that was the best way to do it, in a decent and proper way. All right. So I gave you those path to publishing, and here is another definition. Royalty payment. What is royalty payment? So book sales royalty relate to the compensation or monies that the authors receive from the publisher for the right to publish their books. So it is a percentage of the sales. Well, here's another story. My books, the first two books that I did and I published, they were being sold in other countries. Somebody heard about them, and then the person informed me. Well, somebody flew over there and took care of it. But that's not a good thing to do. That's very unethical, because somebody was selling the books for 200 US dollars. I actually got to talk to the person, so I know it's true. I spoke to the person the other day. So he said someone printed the book. I said, "Did you get it from Amazon?" "No, I didn't get it from Amazon." "So where did you get it from?" "Well," he said, "if I tell you, you might go find those people and deal with them." I said, "No, they would have to pay the full price of the book, because if they sold it to you for 200 US dollars, then I got to get that 200 US dollars." Anyway, we dealt with it, but it's amazing that people can actually do that. And he ended up talking and telling us who it was, because somebody not threatened him, but talked to him in a certain way. And so he decided, "I'll hand over the monies to you." But what the person said was, "Because you were so honest in telling us exactly what happened, I'm going to let you keep the $200 that you've been, because if you bought it for $200, how much are you selling it for?" He said, "This woman is a celebrity, and she should be getting more money than that for the book." It's true. I should be getting more money than that for the book. I didn't get a dime or a dollar. He said I should be getting more money than that. He said she should be getting a big royalty, because it's her book. She wrote the book. The woman wrote the book when she couldn't walk and she couldn't use her hand. It's true. All of that is true. but I didn't get a dime or a dollar because somebody sold it to him undercover. I don't know. What do you say about ethics when people behave like that? I don't know. I don't know. The next definition is book consignment. And that is a concept in which the author provides copies of the books to a bookstore or to bookstores. And whatever the amount of books that are sold, the cost is shared between the bookstore and the author. So, what I know about in Canada, based on the books that I took to the bookstores, to Chapters and Indigo, it's 60/40, basically, 60/40. So some places are 60/30, I was told. Some are 50/50. I've never seen 50/50. I know that there is a bookstore in the States, in Michigan. When I was doing the radio show there, they, the radio show, people from the radio show decided that they were going to show up and I would have a book signing. Here's the next story. So I didn't take any books with me across the border. I was going solo, just by myself. I'm going, and then after that, I'd be going to do the radio show in Detroit. And they stopped me at the border and told me that they were told that I have books in the car. I said, no, I don't have any books in the car. Well, where did you put the books? So they started digging up and they went under everything that they could. I said, no, I don't have any books. Well, here it is on Facebook. You're going to do a book signing. I said, I'm going to do a book signing and I have my radio program that I'm doing after that. I don't have any books on me. And so the border service officer, he decided, well, you're going to stay here for a little while because we need to know where the books are. I said, I think I needed to get a little bit, let me use the word rude for a little while, seriously. And I said, why don't you follow me home for the books? I was living in Windsor. I said, it's just 10 minutes drive from the border to the house. You want to drive with me? He said, I'm not sure if I'll come back because you're mad. He said he wasn't sure if if he would come back, if he would return to his job because I was upset. Well, I was upset because he kept me for so long sitting there for no reason. I didn't have any books on me. The people would have bought the books online, right? And from the bookstore. And all I was doing was showing up to sign the books. But some envious, jealous, covetous people gave the man information talking in his head because I asked him, I said, who spoke directly to you? He said, somebody told me. I said, who spoke directly to you? Nobody spoke directly to him. It's those demons who talk in people's heads, those witches and warlocks. It was just envy. So they had a problem with me going to sign my own books that I wrote with my left hand. I've never seen anything like this in all my life. Why do you have a problem with someone going to sign? It's a person's books. I wrote the books with my left hand. Well, that was a problem. That was a problem for people. So they didn't want me to go and do the book signing. I said, well, if you don't want me to do the book signing, then guess what happened? You just wasted my time. I was supposed to be there at 12 o'clock. I have the radio show to do at a certain time, and now you're wasting my time, and you don't want to follow me home. So I think when I smiled at him and I said, maybe you should follow me home, he said, no, no, I don't trust your smile because if I follow you home, I might not come back to work. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was thinking something, different from what I was thinking. Well, in the hand of the Lord is a cup of foaming wine mixed with spices, and he let the wicked drink it down to the dregs. I didn't have any wine in the house because I don't drink wine, and nobody there drank wine. but he probably would have gotten some wine from above. Anyway, so people will, bookstores will give 60-40, 50-50. It depends, right, on the agreement between the author and the bookstore. So it's basically splitting the profit. That's what that is. So the bookstore can invite the author to do a book signing to promote and sell the books, right? So you promote and sell the books, and you basically promote the bookstore too. I did it when I did it in Windsor at the Indigo or chapters in Windsor. And then I did it again at the chapters Indigo in Lakeshore. That's just outside of Windsor. Then I did it in Hamilton. And it's amazing. Every time that I did it, these people came to look to see what I look like because I'm the person who couldn't walk. And now they see me walking and I'm standing there in heels and they walk back and forth and look in my face. And I have to look at them and say, "Hello, how are you today? How are you doing? Oh my God, she can talk." Yes, she wasn't dumb. She can talk. And see, I'm back on my feet again. Well, that's what shocks us. We can't believe that you walk again. Yes, because guess what happened? Miracles still happen. Oh boy. So I had fun doing those book signings with people. There were some people who came and took pictures with me. I said, I don't know if they're going to send my picture, but after that, someone sent me an email and said, I saw your picture. Someone had your picture. And I fell in love with the picture. I said, okay, so they sold my picture. So that means I should have sold you the book for more expensive than that because you actually took my picture and sold it. All right. So that was just, just the fun of it. But anyway, it was good. I got to meet a lot of journalists. They came from Australia, from Austria, from Johannesburg, from different places, from the United States of America. They came from a lot of places. There was a British man, a British journalist who was trying to. He said, I know you're British. I know you're British. I don't know why, but I know you're British. I said, you know what, sir, I am British, but I don't know. Where in Britain are you from? He said, well, I'm Scottish. I said, you're Scottish? Then if you're Scottish, you sound different. I don't know why you sound so different, but something's going on with your accent. I don't know where you got it from. He said, you sound more British than I do. I said, I think I am sounding more British than you do. So I can actually sound British. Anyway, so that's it. So what's the solution? The best approach to publishing must be considered to decide, you know, who holds the right to publishing. You just got to make your best decision. And that has to be done between the two parties. Okay? I won't tell the stories today about how they try to rob me and went into my account and started taking out money. If I tell you what they were taking the money for, you would never believe. People will come with all different kinds of things and tell all different kinds of lies. See? So I think he had a visitor. Somebody went to visit him, that man in New York, who told the lie and claimed that he was from a certain agency. He said he was an agent and he could get me a certain amount of advance. And we're there discussing the advance. And then I realized he was a thief. I said, it's okay. You'll get a visit. Somebody will visit you and have an interview with you. So some PhD students went and visited him and they spoke to him. That's all I know. They spoke to him. And it was a very good conversation because he got to tell the whole story of who sent him. They realize he's a thief. So that was what I had to share with you today on the path, book publishing path, or the path to book publishing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I wanted to make people laugh a little bit today because it's so boring these days. For some reason, I don't know what is it. Everybody is just stuck up and boring. I don't know what's going on. If you have been through the things that I've been through, if you had been through the things that I had been through, if you are going through the things that I'm going through, trust me, you would want to make sure at least you smile so you don't have high blood pressure, diabetes, and everything that you could have. But guess what happened? I got the rights to publish, which is excellent. So all the publishers who were stealing stuff and trying to tell me I didn't have enough people on YouTube when I did not even have a YouTube channel. I didn't. I did not even have a Facebook page. I didn't have a Facebook page. I didn't because I just didn't think that the people were real. And I just don't like unreal people. So I didn't. Anyway, that's what my little squabbling is about today. Just wanted to share with you on Zobiba Publish TV how we talk about different matters of publishing. Thank God it's Friday. Everybody can relax. I don't have to write, but I still want to write because I got instructions today. Write in the book. Write what I told you in the book. So I have to write. All right. So this is it. We publish your way. And remember, we're connected to Zobiba Global Publications. Please look in the description section and get all the information that you need. You know what? I still say like, subscribe, share, comment, do whatever it is that you want to do. Whether it's good or bad, I'm not offended because that's not going to stop me. So, how I get the comments from the PhDs, it's different because I still have to keep them a little bit, secluded and covered because people really want them. They really want them. Now that they know that I have 100,000 PhDs, listen, everybody wants 100,000 people. If you sell cars, you need people to buy your cars. If you sell houses, you need people to buy your houses. If you sell books, you need people to buy your books. Whatever it is that you do, if you do movies, you want people to watch your movies. So you're going to want those 100 people. But I have to keep them covered a bit. Why? Because I know that everybody doesn't have good intentions. People want your energy. They want your, frequency. They want everything inside of you, but they give nothing. They don't give anything first. They want to suck your energy. Then whatever is left, that's what you can feast on, and they take the best. Well, we're publishing your way. And again, my name is Yvette Johnston, the author, publisher, and the host of this program. I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoyed this program. Have a great and wonderful day, and have a great and wonderful weekend. It is holiday in Canada on Monday, Labor Day. I know it is holiday in the States as well. So enjoy your holiday, your Labor Day, or whatever day it is wherever you are. But we know in Canada, it's Labor Day. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.